Welcome to everybody. Enter the realm of Anna's lit room, where the magic of poetry will ignite your imagination. Delve into the enchanting world of poetic artistry and join us, dear seeker of knowledge, as we embark on a quest through the ethereal landscape of literature. Let's launch our literary journey with John Donne, an 18th century English poet. He is the poet of love because love is the core of his inspiration, both earthly and religious. He wrote enchanting and deep love verses which sometimes dost tease us out of thought. That is, your brain expands to the limits of its capacity. The poem I want to comment on is a Valediction, forbidding mourning, which Donne wrote for his wife Anne before leaving for a diplomatic mission. Valediction means a message of farewell, the content of which for Donne is to remind his wife that she shouldn't cry. He will explain why. Virtuous men pass mildly away and whisper to their souls to go, whilst some of their sad friends do say, the breed goes now, and some say no. The poem starts with the comparison as. In this slide we have the first part of this comparison. As good men die with dignity and in silence, they say to their souls to go away from the body. And some of the people who are there with them say, he is gone, while others say, no, he isn't yet. Now let's pass to the next slide and see the other term of comparison. So let us melt and make no noise, no tear floods, nor sigh tempests move. It were profanation of our joys to tell the lady our love. So introduces the second term of comparison. Evoking the first stanza, the poet continues his reasoning. As the good men die in silence, so we separate ourselves with no noise, as if we were a unique block of ice that melts. It is not appropriate to shed the inundation of tears or shout like a violent tempest would. Thus, we will let the lady know our love, and in doing so, we profanate it. The lay are the people who do not have faith in love. As for us, if we cry and shout, we will show our joys to those who do not understand it. Our love is sacred, therefore we have to shelter it. Moving of the earth brings arms and fears. Men reckon what it did and meant. But trepidation of the sphere, though greater far, is innocent. Donne keeps on explaining his thoughts. We know that when the earth trembles, it causes fear and pain. Think of earthquakes, for example. Such anguishing events, however, do not concern the sphere, the heaven, because even they have greater turmoil, their trepidation is innocent in regard to humans and does not cause pain. In Donne's time, they believed that the earth, moon and stars in the universe were spheres, and sometimes they collided. What Donne implies is that their love belongs to heaven, not to earth, and as such, it is characterized by the absence of sufferance. Dull sublunary lovers love, whose soul is sense, cannot admit absence, because it doth remove those things which lamented it. In the first line there's an alliteration of the L, communicating quietness and lenition. The love of the lovers who belong to the earth, the ones who live under the moon and are sublunary, is monotonous. This love, in fact, perceives the world only through the senses. Such love is incapable of bearing the absence of one of the two lovers. In fact, it is made of earthly things, and if these things there aren't any more, also the love dissolves. Elemented means made of the elements earth, fire, air, and water, according to the worldview of that time. But we, by a love so much refined that ourselves know not what it is, assured of the mind, care less eyes, lips, and hands to miss. Donne now speaks to Anne more explicitly. Our love is so pure that not even we can describe its essence, but our minds are certain about it, and for this reason we do not worry about not seeing, touching, or hearing our lover's lips, eyes, or hands. That is, our minds are what links us to each other, not external things like our looks. Our two souls, therefore, which are one, though I must go, endure not yet a breach, but an expansion like gold to airy thinnest bit. Donne gives us the gift of a wonderful conceit. Our two souls are in reality only one, so even if I must go, they do not have to deal with a rupture, a break. Rather, our love is like a golden foil that, when you beat, becomes thinner and larger and greater. This stanza is heartbreaking and thought-provoking for the many evocative symbols it contains. Gold, precious, rare, magical property, contrary to human logic, beauty, union of minds and earth, of soul and body, and many others that you can find. If they be two, they are two so as stiff twin compasses are two. Thy soul, the fixed foot, makes no show to move, but doth if the other do. This is probably one of the most famous metaphors about love ever written because of its originality. In the previous stanza we have stated, Donne says that their souls are two, yet they are two in one, like the legs of a compass. They are two, yet they make only one perfect tool. Continuing the conceit, Donne explains that Anne's soul is the fixed food at the center of the circle, which doesn't seem to move, yet it moves if the other foot does. And though it in the center sit, yet when the other far doth roam, it leans and hearkens after it, and grows erect as that comes home. The poet continues the conceit of the compass, explaining what kind of movement it draws. The foot in the center is fixed, but it still manages to go around leaning towards the other foot while this is making its way. Then, when this foot stops proceeding because it has drawn the entire circle, the foot in the center becomes erect again when it returns to its original place, which is the center of the circle. When we try to clarify these conceits, they appear abstruse, weird, and difficult. This is, however, only the first level of understanding. To fully perceive the beauty of the lines, when we feel that the literal meaning is more or less clear, we must abandon the logic and trust our intuitive whole capacity of perception. Such wilt thou be to me, who must, like the other foot, obliquely run. Thy firmness makes my circle just, and makes me end where I began. With this last stanza, the poet concludes the conceit of the compass and closes his reasoning. Do you remember? Everything originated from the necessity the husband had to explain to his wife, because when they separate, there is no need to cry, sigh, or be desperate, because theirs is a unique love, different from human love. It has the properties of gold, and it is made of two souls that, in reality, are one. Like the compass, in fact, the two legs of the compass move together if even one of them seems to be fixed. She will follow obliquely like the circling leg of the compass. Her firmness is what permits the circle drawn by him to be perfect, so that he comes back exactly where he started his journey, at home with her, as if he never distanced. Okay, we have come to the end of this wonderful poem. Here in this slide you have some books to read if you want to go deeper inside the meaning and the beauty of this poem. And I would like to thank all of you, because you are the reason for the existence of this channel. And so please don't forget to subscribe